So, and we could come back to this, but think about one of your most memorable stories where maybe like a fan walked up to you and you're like, holy shit, thanks so much, something like that.
Yeah, so actually we were playing Mesa and we were on tour with The Devil Wears Prada and Straight from the Path, and I had written a song called Until Morning Comes about the passing of my cousin who died in a tragic accident, and it was also the same week that Riley Gale from Power Trip had passed away, so rest in peace. I had kind of written this song about my mourning and the collective mourning of, you know, people within our community, and actually the anniversary of his death we were playing Mesa, and I had a mom and her son come up to me and tell me that their dad and husband had passed away, and that was a really emotional moment. I was on the verge of tears and we hugged, and stuff like that happens a lot. People share their stories and are really vulnerable with me, but that's definitely one of the most specific examples that comes to mind. Yeah, pretty crazy.
I can't even, I mean, like, I'm a musician, I'm just, when it comes to like lyrics, like, somebody said that to me, I'm like, alright, I'm doing this for the rest of my life.
Yeah, and honestly, people don't really approach me about that specific song that often. People more approach me about, you know, the title track or Severing the Senses or anything else, but for them to come up and approach me that day specifically about that song on the anniversary of my cousin's death was that I wrote the song about was like, I felt like that was meant to happen in a way, you know, an extra piece of closure.
Have you ever had a moment where you're like, this is why I do what I do? Like the moment where you're like, okay, my life just kind of came together.
Yeah, absolutely. On this tour, we're on tour with Counterparts and CSP's Cowboy and Foreign Hands right now. We have played Portland, our hometown, so many times I can't even count. And, you know, I hadn't really felt like we'd had that hometown show that like broke through yet. And from beginning to end, the whole set that we played on this tour at home was like, this is what we have been working for. This is the moment in our careers that we built up to, was a reaction like this, you know, like it almost felt like we were a headliner, like an anniversary or something like that. So after being on tour for 8 months, it really paid off, and for it to be in our hometown, it was a really emotional experience.
So, going back to like your early years of being a kid, how would you define your personality? What were you up to?
I was always a really sweet kid. We moved a lot when I was younger. So I'd probably gone to about 5 or 6 different schools by the time we ended up where I ended up going to high school and graduating. So I wasn't always really good at maintaining friends. So at a certain point I just kind of became a loner. I read a lot of books. But then I discovered MySpace, and I had, you know, I was very active on MySpace the summer that I moved to a new city, and so I was definitely a little shy. I would still say I'm shy now, very goofy, always loved music. I've always been very obsessive about music, and I love sports as well. I would say I'm pretty much the same person, I'm just a lot more confident now.
That's so funny, because like, when I was having this similar conversation with Travis from California, that was the thing. It's like, dude, the only difference between me and now, not like you know, egotistical, it's confidence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm not cocky, but I'm more confident. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like, you know, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so. Do you remember how is the style of music being significant?
Well, and I'd say I have two chapters. The first chapter is me discovering heavy music and being a kid and going to shows, and like I had mentioned, I moved around a lot, so I didn't always have a lot of friends or really felt like I belonged because I was constantly in motion. But once I started going to specifically hardcore shows when I was a kid, I was like, wow, like these people are just like me. We're all a bunch of weirdos. We're all a bunch of outcasts, and so that sense of belonging was like my first chapter of what makes this so special to me. And the second chapter is when I started a band, and I'd always wanted to make music. I've sang my whole life, but there's just something about this kind of music that just really resonates with me, and I think is really special. And so starting a band was like my second phase, where I was like, okay, not only do I belong in this space, but I want to create here as well.
Bring up the book shows too. Like
Oh yeah. Yeah, well, when I was younger, I always wanted to be involved. I would like try to make flyers and try to promote shows that my friends had booked and stuff. And I was always giving people rides to shows when I could and stuff. But before I started a band, there was, I kind of always noticed, being from Portland, that there would always be someone different booking shows like every year. And so I was just like, I'm not going anywhere. I have been here going to shows for a long time. I'd like to be involved. So I just asked a friend of mine who books shows if he could show me how to do it. And he was like, yeah, honestly, take the reins. Like, I don't really want to do it anymore. And that was like probably 2015, so 7 years ago now. And I've been booking shows at home ever since. And, it started with like punk shows at a bar with 40 people. And I've done things up to, like Booking Terror and Marauder and stuff like that. So being involved in that way had always like, not only did I belong, but I felt really important because I was contributing and also creating a space for people to get involved and potentially could change their life the way that it changed mine.
It's crazy because like I started doing this stuff. It's funny, like, as a musician, if you're really into it, there's always like second avenues to like this band called Vitriol. Not only are they
from Portland,
not only are they in a band, they print shirts. Like,
yep.
It's so cool.
Yeah, so after I started booking shows, I actually met, there's tons of people who are, people who grew up in the hardcore scene, working in the music industry for bigger names and stuff like that. And just by booking small hardcore shows, I'd found my way into working at a venue as a production manager and eventually a buyer. So that's that second avenue that you had mentioned. Like, once hardcore is just like this really awesome smaller community, but it really opens up a lot of opportunities and paths for people like me to pursue a career in music or, be involved in so many ways outside of just our scene, but also implement that kind of, mentality into the world.
So, now the question is, how is the style going to blossom?
How's what?
How is the
yeah.
style of music going to blossom?
I think so. I mean, we can reiterate it just in case.
No, I fucked that.
No, it's okay. Yeah.
Okay. Can you recall the moment that you picked up that specific album or that dark album?
Well, I can tell you one of them was when I was 14 years old. I remember going to Best Buy, and I bought With Roots Above and Branches Below by The Devil Wears Prada with money that I had earned from allowance. And it's different now, on release day. I still anticipate it the same, but it's different when you have to go to the store, get the physical copy, and then take it home and put it in your CD player and listen to it there. It's like this whole other process. And then I would say another one was when a friend gifted me the Have Heart Last Show DVD, because that happened in 2008, 2009, so I was far too young to have ever traveled to Boston and experienced that, but that was like, I never experienced anything like that, and that was a life-changing moment for me.
That's funny, because my brother, I remember in like middle school, he was listening to like that first one. What's wrong with you, man? So he doesn't listen to that anymore. I was
Right, yeah. That's funny. The Devil Wears Prada, they have a lot of fans that I think retired from listening to all heavy music except for the Devil Wears Prada. And they kind of have like this cult following. Not really cult following, maybe, but they like put out like a heavy rock album this year, and it's awesome, and their fans still love it even though it's a total divergent from their old sound.
Two more. So, what are some things you have to evaluate before committing to a serious tour-heavy band? Is it an easy process?
It is not an easy process. We knew what we were getting ourselves into. Specifically with ending this tour, we did this was our third tour back-to-back, and we knew it was going to be hard. We knew it was going to be mentally challenging, and it takes a lot of mental exercises, mental strength, and physical strength to get through it every day. But you know, at the end of this, we're going to get home, and I know it's going to feel worth it, and then some. So.
So what excites you about the evolution of extreme music as a whole? With that, like, how do you think bands are pushing boundaries?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that there's a lot of kind of genre bending that's happening right now. It's a lot more accessible. I think that what we're experiencing right now with TikTok and just how accessible this kind of music is on the internet is really familiar to like what happened in MySpace, and how it just, you know, became available for all of these different people to listen to this kind of music. And I think that, you know, we're seeing more diverse lineups and bands and tours and people working for bands, and just within the industry as a whole, we're seeing a lot more inclusiveness as far as like typically marginalized people within the heavy metal community would be, and as well as, you know, there's some pushback, but there's a great amount of acceptance to counteract it.
I was just about to say that it's different talking to people in the death metal scene. Like, when they first started, there was a lot of elitism. But now, like, a lot of death metal people would go to, like, for example, that show, there was like bands, like, way.
Yeah, I definitely have noticed that.
Very.
Yeah.
But is it good?
Mm-hmm.
So the last thing is,
the most rewarding part about doing things DIY. Well, I mean, I can tell you we're not DIY anymore, but the most rewarding part about it is that, you know, when we were, that, you know, we had done it on our own, that, you know, it was purely based off of the hard work of us as a unit and not of any suits, you know. As far as like, you know, with booking shows and building a DIY community like that goes, it's like, I think it's really special because I believe that this kind of music is supposed to be the antithesis to what normal societal culture is like. And, you know, our society is very corporate, and I think that it's really cool when you do things without Live Nation and you do things without Ticketmaster, and you can just do it on your own based off of the work of a community as a whole, without any bullshit.
Speaking of that, what is with these $10 service fees? Like,
$10 service fees, and also breaking my back to get SZA tickets that I'll probably have to spend like $500 on. I don't know. I think we should. I don't know if you want to put this in the documentary. I don't think I should say this on camera, but I think we should boycott Live Nation and Ticketmaster. Don't put that in there. My manager would be very pissed off. But there you go.